If you have ever looked at another person's life and felt your own was not enough. If you have ever compared your marriage, your relationship, or your journey with what you saw online, then listen carefully. Because this story is not about strangers. It is about us. That morning was quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet. The kind that makes you think too much. She stood on the small balcony of their apartment, her hands resting on the cold metal rail. Below her, the street was wet from early rain. Cars passed slowly. People rushed to work. Life was moving, but inside her chest, something felt stuck. She sighed softly. Life. She did not know why her heart felt heavy. Nothing bad had happened. No fight. No shouting. No tears. Yet, her chest felt full, like something was pressing it gently but constantly. She reached for her phone. The screen lit up her face. Pictures. Videos. Smiles. Happy couples. Surprise gifts. Trips. Laughter. She scrolled slowly. And slowly, her mind began to talk. See how their own marriage be. She did not say it loudly. She only thought it. The rain continued to fall. That was how it started. Not with anger. Not with hatred. But with comparison. Inside the living room, her husband was on his knees near the wall, fixing a faulty socket. He worked carefully, slowly turning the screwdriver, making sure everything was neat. He hummed under his breath, a small habit he had when he was relaxed. This was the kind of man he was. Quiet. Steady. Not the type to make noise or show off. When the light blinked and finally stayed on, he smiled to himself. My love, they have brought back the light, oh, he called gently. He waited. No answer. He stood up, dusted his hands on his trousers, and looked toward the balcony door. He did not complain. He did not suspect anything. He only believed everything was fine. But peace does not always live with noise. Sometimes, it lives quietly. Later, she sat on the couch, her back resting against the cushion, her phone glowing in her hand. The room was quiet except for the soft sound of ceiling fan. Her thumb moved without thinking. Scroll. 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 A woman smiling beside her husband. A caption talking about soft life. Another video of a surprise dinner. She laughed softly, but the laugh had no joy inside it. Is this how marriage is supposed to be? She whispered. She locked the phone and dropped it beside her. Her chest felt tighter now. Social media is a strange mirror. It shows you only what people want you to see. And hides everything else. She did not know it yet, but a small crack had already formed in her heart. That afternoon, she walked through the street alone. People passed her, laughing, talking, living their lives. The sun was bright. But her mind was not. She kept thinking. Why does her own life look simple? Why does her marriage look quiet? Why does it not shine like others? She was not looking for another man. She was not planning to leave. She was only imagining another story. And imagination can be dangerous when it forgets reality. That evening, her husband sat at the dining table. The food was ready, but he did not touch it. The chair opposite him was empty. He folded his hands lightly and looked at the plate. We thank God, he said quietly. He waited. The room felt too large. Loneliness does not always come because someone is absent. Sometimes, it comes because someone is no longer present in spirit. He did not know what had changed. He only felt it. They sat on the same couch that night. Yet, they were far apart. She stared at her phone. He stared ahead. The generator sound hummed outside. They will soon bring the light, he said, trying to start a conversation. Okay, she replied, without looking at him. Silence returned. No argument. No insult. No harsh words. Just space. Distance is dangerous. It kills love slowly, without sound. The next day, she passed through the market. Among the noise and movement, one stall caught her attention. Old mirrors sat on a wooden table. Dust floated in the sunlight. Behind them sat an elderly woman, calm and still, as if the noise did not touch her. The woman looked up slow. Why? Not every mirror showed truth, she said. Her voice was low, steady. Some people sell food. Some sell clothes. But, this woman sold wisdom. She reached for one of the mirrors. Her hand stopped halfway. The reflection looked strange. Slightly bent. Not clear. Auntie, why is this mirror like this? She asked with a small nervous laugh. The old woman looked at her deeply. Because you are seeing your life with another woman's eye. Yes. The words entered her chest like cold water. Truth is painful. But it saves. She held the mirror carefully. That night, she sat alone in the dark. The lights were off. Only the window light entered the room. She hugged herself lightly, as if trying to keep something inside. The clock ticked loudly. Something had left the house. Not a person. Peace. Why am I not happy again? She whispered. The question had no answer yet. In another corner of the house, her husband stood by the window. City lights blinked in the distance. He sighed and shook his head slowly. I don't know what I have done wrong, he said. He was not angry. Just tired. Every time a marriage is compared, something disappears. First, joy. Then, patience. And if care is not taken, love itself disappears. The house did not change. The walls were the same. The chairs were the same. The curtains still moved gently with the night breeze. But something was missing. He stood near the window, looking outside, but not really seeing anything. His shoulders were low. His hands rested loosely by his sides. The house felt bigger than before. Silence filled every corner. This was not the silence of rest. It was the silence of questions. He did not shout. He did not curse. He only stood there, wondering when things started to slip away. In the living room, she sat on the couch alone. Her phone lay face down beside her, untouched. This time, she did not feel like scrolling. She leaned forward slightly, elbows on her knees, staring at nothing. For the first time, she noticed the quiet. The kind of quiet that makes your own thoughts loud. Her heart felt restless. Comparison had promised excitement. But it delivered emptiness. The next morning, she stood in the living room holding a small folded paper. Her hands shook. The words on the paper were short. Simple. But heavy. She read them again. And again. Her mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. He had left to give her space, because he was tired of the heavy atmosphere. This was not what she expected. She had wanted attention. She had wanted more effort. She did not want distance. Reality does not always answer us the way we expect. The door remained slightly open. Light from outside entered the room softly. She sat on the couch, her head bowed, shoulders slumped. The house felt cold now. Loneliness sat beside her, quietly. This was the moment she understood something important. Comparison does not steal immediately. It waits. Early morning light filled the market. The elderly woman sat in the same place, calm as ever. The mirrors were still arranged neatly. When she saw her approach, she did not smile. She did not frown. She only waited. Some lessons must be faced twice before they sink in. She stood before the store, her hands clasped together. Her voice was low. "Mama, I think I made a mistake." Fear and regret sat clearly on her face. The market noise faded in her ears. She was finally listening. The old woman picked up the cracked mirror and placed it gently in her hands. "Look well," she said. She looked. This time, she did not see another woman's life. She saw herself. Tired. Unsettled. Chasing shadows. The mirror did not lie. And for the first time, she did not run from the truth. Days passed. She sat alone at the dining table one afternoon, sunlight pouring in gently. Her phone was off. Far from her. She breathed slowly. For the first time in a long while, her heart felt quiet. Change does not come with noise. It comes with small decisions. That night, she knelt beside the bed. No long speech. No big promises. Just honesty. She admitted her faults. She admitted her pride. Healing always begins with humility. One evening, the door opened. He stood there. Not angry. Not smiling. Just tired. Warm evening light filled the room. Hope stood quietly between them. She stood a few steps away. Her eyes held remorse. His eyes held caution. No rushing. No excuses. Some wounds need time before touch. They looked at each other. And understood. Later, they sat side by side on the couch. Not holding hands yet. But not far apart. Silence returned. This time, it was gentle. Healing had begun. Not because life became perfect. But because comparison finally left TH. A house. Another person's marriage is not your standard. Another person's happiness is not your measurement. What you see online is a picture, not the full story. Protect your peace. Guard your home. And never let comparison steal what gratitude can protect.